What's up, guys? Eric here from MajorLeagueTrading.com. And in tonight's free video, I want to highlight a trade that you could have taken today and basically give you all the ins and outs around this particular strategy, which is known as the divergence strategy. Now, I got many other trade examples just like this one on the channel. So if you haven't watched those, then after this video, now you got more things to watch. So without further ado, we got gold up here on the charts at the moment. But the thing which we're going to look at tonight here is just in the overall indices, and then we'll recap what we were talking about from last night. So with this here, we were looking at anything over 43.32 quarters last night was going to give us some room to the upside. So we managed to try and go lower here first thing this morning, and then ultimately ended up putting in a pretty decent trend to the upside on the day. NASDAQ ended up moving from call it 14,700s up into call it 14,940s, so a good 240 points there. And if we look at this just from a daily chart perspective, I mean, we had a total range 289.5 points on the day. Coming out of the NASDAQ. So pretty big moves kind of across the board here. And as you can see, most markets all ended up moving together, right? Everything was able to kind of make this move and put in a pretty decent rally kind of on the day, and then ultimately ended up just kind of consolidating and ranging out there for the rest of the day after that morning move. But the key thing here in which I want to highlight is just this green arrow on the Russell. So right here, there we go. So right here at 10:30, you can see ultimately what happens. S&Ps come down, they don't make new lows. NASDAQ comes down, they don't make new lows. Dow comes down, they don't make new lows. But the Russell comes down here, makes new lows, sets the divergence, gets the signal here, and then that ultimately ends up marking the low of the day, right? So, and this would have been a very valid setup based on other criteria and all those things that are taught with this strategy inside of the mentorship and the upcoming trader funding challenge. So anyways, with this, wanted to just kind of highlight that there. So for me, it was a travel day, which of course means that we're going to have some pretty decent action out of the markets and things are going to move. Hence, the almost 300-point move out of the NASDAQ from today. So going into tomorrow here, NASDAQ's here currently down about 10, 15, 20 points here. We're currently printing, just kind of right back down towards the lower end of this range, this consolidation area here. So I'm not necessarily too ecstatic about anything going into tomorrow. I do think there is still a slight chance that we could rally up and test 15,010.75s here. Give or take from current print, that's about 160 some odd points. We are well within the wheelhouse that we could probably rally up and test that at some point tomorrow. The question becomes is what do we want to see in order for that to happen? And I think the main thing here is that as long as we don't downtrend and start erasing too much of yesterday's move, then I do think we have a shot at trying to get back up there. And ultimately what I'm looking at here for this is just a weekly chart, right? So I'm thinking that the weekly chart wants to kind of rally up here. 14,951s here is the high of the week, and you can see there's that 15,010s. I'm thinking that, hey, after we broke through these lows just by a little bit, we're going to put in a little bit of a bottoming tail in here and try and close this with a small green bar on the weekly chart. Now again, daily chart extended to the downside could definitely get that rally back to the upside, but ultimately kind of across the board, bigger picture, we are still in that downtrend, right? So we do want to be cautious of if we are downtrending tomorrow, given that it's Friday, given the week that we have had and the action in which we have seen and all of these things, that we want to respect that downtrend if it does ultimately decide to do that, right? So for me, I'm not interested in the short side anymore. I do think we are kind of due for that bounce as I thought yesterday. And then obviously, with what the markets did today, that makes the most sense from here at least just for a little bit, right? And 15,010 being that first area. In terms of individual equities, like I said, I wasn't really at the desk today. I was out in the woods and not able to really check in too much. But just a quick scan kind of across the board here as I've gotten back to the desk for this evening. I don't know that there's any real standout names to me outside of something like an AMD, right? This thing ultimately on the day, on the week, and I mentioned this one was, strong yesterday relative to the overall markets. And then today, this thing just, comes out of the gate just absolutely swinging here. And I mean, this thing, total range on the day, $6.44. So pretty big move out of AMD from here, and actually, far exceeded what I would have probably expected this thing to ultimately make on the day. So the move in which I would have expected for this to make. So I think a lot of these names have made the decent move that they probably should have made, given the action in which we've seen tomorrow. Do they maybe have just a little bit more tomorrow if NASDAQ rallies? Yes, but I think the NASDAQ is probably the better way in which to play that. So anyways, that's what I've got here for tonight's free video. Sorry, it is now past 10 o'clock here when I'm getting this out, but just now getting back at the desk here, and being able to pull up charts and kind of take a look at things here for this evening. So that's what I got. I hope it helps. Take care. I will see you guys on the next video, and I will be in the Discord tomorrow breaking these markets down live with those of you in there. So looking forward to that, and if I don't see you in there, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.